Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on a great viewer question, and that is to discuss narcissist entitlement. If you have been in a relationship with a narcissist, you are undoubtedly going to experience some sort of discomfort or tension in the relationship, which can be grounded and founded in their sense of entitlement. A narcissist has a pathological sense of self importance coupled with a lack of empathy. Basically, it means that they really don't see any other option or alternative for how they are, what they want, what they go after. Their principles and rules of engagement with others are very resistive and adverse to change. So they're very resistive. This gives them sort of this entitlement aura, this entitlement energetic vibration. You might consider these people arrogant. You might consider these people all about me, privileged, and then it might manifest as sort of condescending or belittling. And it doesn't always have to be a comment. It can just be the way that you are treated, the sneer, the tone of voice. Basically, it is like an emotional axe, just meant to chop you down so that you are not able to see, feel, acknowledge, or be validated for who and what you are. Literally and realistically. We're talking in the very reality sense. So this is not a laughing matter. This is just like, oh, somebody, thinks they're better than you. Just, in one ear, out the other. Just shrug it off. Just find somebody new. It is not that easy. In fact, people can experience what is known as narcissistic abuse as a result of the entitlement. Entitlement means really that they do not feel that they are in a wrong for breaking rules, societal norms, being disrespectful, having double standards. In other words, what they will sort of try to call out in you, they will exhibit and do the same themselves. But oftentimes it's another form. It is hidden from view. So these are like your stealth people. These are, the people who have a very good sense of deception, meaning manipulation. They like to control. They are inauthentic, meaning they have a very deliberate and pre-calculated way or defense mechanism that requires them to judge and condescend to others. So this can make others very uncomfortable. Not only like you might not agree with them, but you have to agree with them to get along. So it becomes a real paradox. You must then subconsciously, oftentimes without your conscious knowing, sort of agree, cooperate, even enable, or play into the hands of a narcissist entitlement. It just means that what I say goes. Whatever you have in terms of response or reaction is shut out or resisted. It is not heard. It is not seen. It might be felt, but it'll be resisted or pushed away, and resistance makes stronger. And unfortunately for the individual who finds themselves in a relationship with a narcissist, usually it's after they've, experienced a number of invalidating, inconsistent, and troubling treatment, ways that they have been related to. In terms of also not only receiving a negative or adversity, but also a positive. So the entitlement sort of is like the narcissist is like the media control center. They're kind of like the big network, the ABC, the NBC, or whatever. They want to control the flow of information. They want to control what you see. And they will use a lot of energy in order to create a persona, a facade, or a mask. They want you to treat them, see them, or behave in such a manner, which oftentimes leads in blind, like a blindness, a sort of feeling of uneasiness, tension. This is not right, but I need to go along with this anyway. It's a sort of feeling of this tension, angst, and a lot of what creates sort of a lot of paranoia, anxiety, and sort of avoidance of healthy relationships, and sort of avoiding of yourself in a process, because the entitlement, basically the narcissist feels that they are above or better than other people. And this includes treating others with respect. It can have very covert or very subtle means. In other words, they're the type of people who will be sort of seductive in all the wrong places. This is the person who will, answer the door for, the hot water repair guy or the plumber in their underwear, and they might be completely belligerent. They might be on substances, and they just expect the other just to go, you're not dressed appropriately. And it's not just like, are you wearing a t-shirt? We're talking about, the narcissist is very full aware of the discomfort that they're putting on others, but they do it anyway. In other words, things that would make people uncomfortable, sights, sounds, statements, looks, things that are unsettling and get you sort of off base, that will alter your ability to focus, to have a sense of security within, a sense of efficacy within as well, will be really what is targeted as a result of narcissist entitlement. It'll create a feeling of inferiority that is sort of like the byproduct. If you can think of it as if they are like a widget factory, this is their byproduct. This is what is at the end of the assembly line. This is what they create. This is what they put out. This is their product, if you will, if you can put it into a tangible. I think it's very important here on the tangible, on the channel. I really try to help make this tangible or use some analogies for you, so you can help stop second guessing yourself, and stop doubting yourself. The entitlement will put you at a very precarious and uncomfortable, oftentimes humiliating, shameful, and embarrassing position. They will do this again and again and again, and then coupled with reward. So this is why it really sort of makes the relationship unescapable. People have such a difficult time understanding, grasping, and quote unquote doing the right thing, or seeing it for what it is and accepting it, because their senses basically are lying to them. They have had to live in such deep self-denial. In other words, swallowing a lot of crow, swallowing a lot of horse pills, a big pill to swallow, swallowing your feelings, doing it anyway. And this is not like courage, like feeling the fear and doing it anyway, like a gymnast that's ready to go for their big vault. They might be fearful, I might not be able to get it, but they're like, I can do this, I can nail this, I've got this. And then they go running for the springboard, do the vault, do their twist. It might not be a perfect 10, but they're there throwing their hands up, and then they landed it. They nailed it. They executed what they needed to do in their mind to show their prowess, their agility, their physical strength. So it takes a lot. But what the parallel is here is that self-doubt, before you are even sort of so I was a gymnast. And so when you are like behind that line and ready to make your sprint for that springboard. You got to hit it. You got to get your paces right. You got to run in just the right speed. You got to get your footing right. You got to jump, right where that line is. Otherwise, you hit like dead wood and then you don't spring. You could dive right into the horse, or you could, there's a lot of areas where you could injure yourself. This is not fun. So you have to kind of know where you're going to land it and where you're going to put your feet. This is kind of like the proper placement of your footing, where you can kind of equate your boundary. So the narcissist messes this up. They screw you over big time. Their entitlement will cause your boundaries to be blurred. You don't know where to put your feet. You don't know, in fact, they will tell you, put your feet here, and that's the wrong spot. You will not spring up. You will not launch. You will not fly. You will not shine. You will fall on your face, but then they will reward you and say, oh, look, you're so this, you're so that, and then just sort of give you the old pat on the shoulder and then seek, in other words, there's this entitlement. They feel that they have the right to help themselves to others, perspectives, their feelings, their decision making. Go along, just do this anyway. It's not like Nike, just do it, which is in the positive, which is like in our analogy, which is the athletic, do it, do the do, do your exercise, do your whatever, and stop making excuses. And that's for the positive. So Nike, of course, they want to bring out the athlete in you. The narcissist, they don't want to bring out the athlete in you. They don't want to give you the thumbs up, the high five, good job. You're not, the entitlement makes them feel that they are not responsible for giving others any sort of positive validation. To them, they feel that they would undermine themselves, which is a testimony to their insecurity. Someone who has a strong sense of self, just like our gymnast here, hey, I did my double round backflip or whatever, and then the other gymnast goes, and you go, man, that was awesome. You can high five. You all know when you have respect, you know what is involved in doing that. You know how hard they've worked. You know how long they've stretched out. You know how long they've done this and that. You know how long that they have practiced. So there's a respect, like of actual real respect, meaning, go ahead, and then you don't feel threatened by the next person, that's coming up. A narcissist, though, they are always on the prowl. They're always on the monitor. They're always surveying the scene. Who do I have to beat? Who do I have to win over? Who do I have to charm? This is how they operate. This is their playbook. This is what they're reviewing on the sidelines. This is not normal. This is not, how normal, healthy people who have a positive sense of self. And it doesn't have to be grandiose. It doesn't have to be delusional. But the narcissist, their entitlement leads them into this sort of delusion, this sort of unreality, this sort of, it does not check out. It is in their mind. And then it will cause them to project false narratives, false accusations, false motives onto others. This is known as projection. They're projecting their own inadequacies, which they are out of touch with. They are out of touch. It is shut down. If they were in a high rise, okay, they're in the penthouse, their insecurities is in, the 10th floor parking garage underneath. They have no clue of what is going on in that park garage. They don't care. All they want is, push me on the button up to the penthouse. And if you're not taking there, you meet me there. You have got something wrong with you. So if you do not comply, cooperate, fall in line blindly with this, then you will be the one who is receiving the hurt, the scapegoating, the projection, the belittling. You will not feel that you're on a team. These are not your team players. They might be temporary team players to get what they want, but they are not about the connection. They are not about the heart to heart. They are not about the real. They are not about the authentic. They are not about, the climb. They are all about the penthouse. They are all about, look at me, look at my whatever property, look at my address, look at my zip code, look at my car, look at my watch, look at me, look at me. And it doesn't even, it can be those things, and it can be everything else. Everything else, everybody else has to pale by comparison. No one else, so you can kind of see. And then the problem with this entitlement is that some people who have a weakness or a vulnerability will gravitate to these people. Oh, look how strong. And, they'll get their identity sort of from, connecting or trying to sort of be associated or be in a relationship. And if this was like in your workplace, or your family, your identity might be then interwoven with complying with this narcissist. In other words, you haven't established yourself in the workplace yet. You might be a newcomer to the workforce. So you might need to, you might encounter these types of people who will have this sort of entitlement and make you do a lot of grunt work, dirty work, not give you sort of a validation of your level of expertise. So they will undermine your growth, because they're entitled. They'll use their title. They'll use their position. They'll just take the authority over you, and it's like big hat, no cattle. They might not have anything that really justifies this entitlement treatment, but because they operate by this again and again and again, they think that this is what they must do to get a leg up. And they're not about improving, growing, things, they're always about being better than, getting a leg up. If you have ABC, then they want ABC plus 2, plus 5. They want to take what you have, sort of steal it, and not because, and it's stealing really because they will not give you credit. They will acknowledge and validate you, but they will throw you under the bus. And then generally, which I find very interesting about the narcissist, is that they will engage in the very one thing that they're trying to throw you under the bus for. So part of their entitlement, is that they will insult you. They feel that they have the place, that they have the penthouse, that they can just look out on everybody else. Look at this, look, and just, but they don't ever receive this in return. People are too afraid. The narcissist rage. How dare you? Is this sort of, and then people see, maybe in the workplace, if you don't just follow along in suit, then this is what could happen. So people go, oh my God, look at what happened to that other person. They get talked about at the water cooler. They get talked about at the family event. They get, and then so it just creates this whole environment that the narcissist controls the flow of information. This is what their entitlement plays out to. And so people might think, oh, well, they deserve this. They are richer. They are smarter. They are this, meaning they are but you're negating yourself at the same time. So you have to be very careful. This is really the first nick of the first injury. So if you must understand that the wounds are at the hands of this individual or individuals. It is not your reality. It is not who you are. It is who they make you out and who they want to paint you out to be, to help them further themselves. It's always it's kind of like relationships to them are kind of like a stepping stone. And when I traveled out to the Hollywood area to work on a marketing and meeting the people in that area, they were very superficial. very glib. And it was very different and it was, very strikingly different. Like, in other words, there's a lot of people who will gravitate. Now, it doesn't mean that everything is wrong with Hollywood, but what I'm saying is that certain systems will draw a lot of this entitlement dynamic. And you say, I can't believe they just said or did this, and no one called them out. They got away with it. And then you might feel, well, then this is what you do then. And then so some people might violate themselves, their own sense of morality, to think, oh, well, then this is what you must do. Is so they're sort of following the leader here. The narcissist, even though they might, start out as these leaders, and you might even get your sense of identity, your I am from them. In other words, who they are might sort of soak in or be part of your I am, your identity, like our viewer here said. They have such a difficult time separating their own voice from this painful voice of condescension, cutting down. It becomes very difficult to grow if every step, you're sort of doubting or is told you is wrong or disappears, like poof. In other words, because they don't witness it, it's almost as like it does not exist. This is part of the human condition, and dare I say, even the human frailty that will be experienced. Even the strongest people will experience a sense of frailty, delicateness, or weakness, feeling that they are weak or they are unable to go on, that they feel ineffectual. They don't know what to do. They don't know what I call positive, orderly direction, thinking, feeling, behaving, and becoming is as a result of this entitlement. Realize that the wounds are just inflicted from this individual. And you might then be experiencing this, and you have to sort of experience this as an ownership, meaning I experience this. And seeing that you are there in the witnessing, almost so the observer. So in other words, once you realize that this is a coping mechanism that the narcissist will utilize, you can realize it's just a coping mechanism. It's just, for example, if somebody smokes and you can't stand the smoking, that is like their habit. And then so it's kind of like the entitlement is a similar thing. You might not get secondhand smoke, but you might really remember and feel that uncomfortable feeling, that tension, that, this is not healthy for you. But it does not make you an unhealthy person. But you might feel your identity is like, I'm associated with this. And your I am might then be intertangled with this. So what is your I am that you personally derived? And oftentimes it's on the negative. So you're defining yourself by the negative. I am a loser. I am not good enough. I am not talented. And then you're defining yourself by what you do not have rather than what you do have. So you're always defining yourself then after an entitlement by a void. This is not healthy. You can, try to fill the void, but a void does not get filled. So do you see how the narcissist, kind of their output, their product is that void within you? So if you have that, you can kind of say, yeah, I've got, you can literally pick it up like a product from a shelf. I have the void. I mean, it is that tangible. So once you understand that experience, you can understand and identify it, and then how it especially affects your I am as you define it on the negative, especially as I do not have. So if you define your I am in that, then that is what you are going to create more of in your life. So that's why this will perpetuate and plague people for years, months, weeks, and decades. They will feel this sort of void, this sort of fear, this sort of insecurity, Somebody might find me out that I am normal, or might find me out that I cannot make it. And what you're really feeling is that you are not maybe entitled like the narcissist. I think oftentimes that's the true cause of the void, is that you are not this way. And it can make you feel very much like you do not belong. You do not fit in. And so you can kind of feel this way, this awkwardness. And that is okay. You oftentimes might not have been able to address, put a word to, or define this experience. Or you might not have been able to call this person out because it was inappropriate. It was not right. It would just lead to more combativeness. The narcissist who is entitled, this will lead to a lot of conflict. They will love and seek out the conflict. Just like a football player who's like, this is what we play for, and they're like running out in the field, and they're, the narcissist will love to take you on. They will love to fight you like a lawyer. I mean, these are your dirt, and this is like, they'll just sort of come out of nowhere. And the reason is because oftentimes you have not done anything to deserve the treatment, but they will treat you anyway. So this is part of the confusion, the tension, the cognitive dissonance that is created and instilled like a product from the narcissist. So it's literally the tension, the confusion. This does not make sense. And so when you are trying to heal and you are trying to make sense of it, you are not going to be able to make a decision by it making sense. So in other words, this does not make sense. You might literally need to make that statement. This does not make sense. And that is your authenticity, your reality, your truth speaking. Okay, this is your inner power. This is your inner strength. This is your inner, wisdom. This is your inner wholeness before the injury. Before the injury. So it is there. Your whole unscathed self is there. That's able to really see and witness this. To be able to make that statement from that place, which is different, and separate and distinct, which is a scary place. But the problem with people who have abused is this feels scary, but it should not feel scary. So it's just like people who go into, they're terrified of riding an elevator. They have an irrational fear. This create and instill this sort of irrational fear, just like a fear of snakes, a phobia, a fear of elevators, a fear of spiders. I can't, a fear of spiders. Oh my God, and then they're crawling on top of the bed, and they can't handle it, even though the spider is, half an inch. They have this irrational fear. They cannot see that they are bigger than, and because this would, if you were to be okay, this would then, if you were to be okay, if you were to be bigger than, if you were to be okay, it would then eliminate, or it would directly conflict with the narcissist story. And so if your identity, so if you feel then as a result of this entitlement, I am untalented, then this is going to be your truth, especially if you had felt this in your family system between the ages of 0 and 7, then this is going to be your truth. So any other information, compliment, experience that is not the same. In other words, you are good, you are smart, you are talented, you are strong, you are a good this, you are a great that. Like, it will it'll directly conflict with your truth. So people then will push it away. So they will not be able to process or internalize or have their I am in a realistic sense say, I am strong. I am okay. It'll directly conflict with their truth that they had learned, an erroneous truth, a flawed truth. So that's why people end up developing a false persona around the narcissist. The problem for a lot of people who are very close is that they do not realize they are trauma bonded. They then make excuses for the narcissist. And they continue to never heal. This is just how they are. This is their culture. This is their personality. This is how men are. This is how women are. This is what love is. This is what people do. This is what bosses do. This is what presidents do. This is what business owners do. This is what it can just, this is what blondes do. This is what whatever. I mean, you can say, I'm using that as an example. But that does not equate to reality. Those are the people. If you are hearing them, oh, this is just their personality, and this person is abusing them, thinks that this is just what they need to do to get things done. This couldn't be further from the truth. It should never be tolerated. This sort of condescension, belittling, and really sort of reproach and dislike of your authenticity. This really becomes a very big health crisis for a lot of people. And not just you here watching. Yes, you watching, but you are not alone. This is wide sweeping. This is a huge problem. So you have to realize, what is your I am that has been as a product, a widget, a byproduct, a feeling that has been bestowed upon you. And what is that discomfort? And can you say to the widget, yeah, this was the void that was created. I'm just using this calcite here. But if you can get an object in your environment that you can then utilize and give a name as part of your healing, and as part of your tools. So if you can find something in your environment right now and sort of equate it, like Helen Keller, she was always one of somebody who I looked up to. A miraculous figure. Did not have a sense of sight, did not have a sense of hearing, and was unable to communicate. But she became one of the most prolific orators of her time, and actually advocated for many rights. And you can study her. Just phenomenal person. And I did work in the social services for some time.